Today's footage is working on some of the final prep for for our little entertaining area. So I'm using the box blade to smooth and level and clean up a little bit. And as you can see, there's a rock in the box blade that it moved. And this tool is actually one of the more invaluable tools for building a property. It's had many uses. My only actual complaint about it is that this particular design is ridiculously stupid, and I look forward to hopefully someday replacing this with a heavier duty blade that does not have a spring clip holding the scarifiers in, because it's just super annoying that you have to use a pair of pliers or something to grab that and pull them out, where if they use a pin and cotter pin setup, then you just go out and pull the cotter pin, pull the pin, adjust it, put the pin back in, put the cotter pin back in. Having a tool-free setup is much easier, much better, much more efficient. So this is the fire pit area, and I'm just kind of dragging things around to scrape it into the center there, and I decided I wanted to smooth that trail a little bit, since that will eventually be that'll actually be a trail that we use. And then come out here to the little porch swing area, and we'll smooth out the top of this a little bit. The box blade is great at picking up dirt and then kind of dragging it along and depositing it in any low spots. So it excels at this particular type of project. The only real challenge with a box blade is the ground has to be pretty dry. If there's a lot of sticks and twigs, then it does a decent job of kind of gathering them up. I ended up dragging most of those just kind of over to the side of the driveway, and I still need to go clean them up, but my hope and goal was to try and get everything through here smoothed out and ready for grass seed, so that when we had some rains come, we could actually go throw the grass seed down and take advantage of the fact that rain would just keep the grass moist for us. That was a pretty good plan. It actually worked fairly well. So, and then right here I'm just trying to kind of backfill a little bit, and I'll come back through with a rake and just clean all that up, smooth all that out, just because I don't want to, push the concrete or ruin the stuff that's already leveled over there. But this area, we're calling this our yard game area. This required an awful lot of work, but it actually turned out really quite well. These little young chickens just thoroughly enjoyed the work that I was doing, though, and kept getting in the way. There's not really a rhyme or reason to any of this. I'm just taking where I think I see something that is high and dragging it down to be low. I've got the scarifiers all the way down, so they're doing a pretty good job of digging down into things. And they'll gather up all the decent sized rocks, which I'll come back through later and kind of pick up. I was trying to avoid that rock there, and it didn't want to be avoided. Oh, and apparently I lied. I'm putting them down all the way now. There's actually a lot of adjustment in one of these because you can control the height with the 3-point itself, and then you control the relative height of the scarifiers and the blades based on the top link. And you just kind of, it takes a lot of trial and error, and at this point I'm actually trying to dig as deep as I can with the scarifiers to hopefully pop up any rocks, any of the sticks and twigs and things, get the loose grass and weeds. You can see there's one pile of rocks, there's another pile of rocks over here. Eventually they will all be set over right over here, and then once we get the grass established a little bit, then I'll come back through and decide where we want to border. The main purpose that we have for this is actually bocce. We enjoy playing that. We don't necessarily play particularly by the rules, I guess, because we don't deal with like a specific size field. We just have always found a section of grass where we like and play, but sometimes we like to add some challenge and some fun to it, so we'll intentionally find places that have a hill or a slope or things like that. So having this little valley is a kind of a bit of a crater, actually. It slopes from the back there down to where the tractor is now, and then both sides are sloped up, so the water should run off pretty well. I decided it was time to share this footage with some friends, so I was doing a quick Marco Polo, but I think I mentioned in a previous video that this area here is about 35 feet wide and a little over 40 feet long from front to back there, so it'll provide a pretty good little grassy area. We've got to figure out what we want planted in this area that can tolerate a lot of water, because during the winter we do get a fair amount of moisture through here. And here's where I was actually measuring, so that's where I got that measurement of 35 by 40. I think it ended up actually being a little bit wider after I finished doing all the grading, but back to picking up rocks. It's been interesting to be working this property to kind of figure out where I want things, and like, for instance, if I was going to do a crop here, I'd have the exact same processes. I'd want a nice smooth area, but back in the day they would have to have done this by hand or with horses and a plow, and it amazes me the amount of work that a tractor can do. And the versatility of having a 3-point hitch and changeable front end loader is I hate to say priceless, but it's crucial. I look very much forward to being able to get the size of tractor that we actually need to do some of the forestry work that I'm doing, some of the milling work. This one does struggle a fair amount with some of the logs that I have to move. A lot of them it can do, a lot of the bigger ones it can only do one at a time, and that's okay. It sure beats being able to pick them up at all. Sure beats having to drag them. I could drag them with a smaller tractor if that was what we had to do, but I was trying to pick up some of those bigger rocks here, and it kind of worked, but they just didn't want to fall into the bucket without a little bit of coaxing, so these ones I just decided to start from scratch. But yeah, moving rocks, that's been a huge challenge. And of course, Kitty decided that she needed some attention because the tractor stopped. So happy to oblige there. And then I get rid of some rocks and start box blading again and find some more rocks or find some more roots or whatever the case may be. And most of that leveling was done just driving around in circles. And again, trying to gather up the rocks that I've found over the last little while working through here. Rocks are, I know I've mentioned this previously, but they're an invaluable find for us here. They're definitely worth taking the time to make sure I gather them up. Mud has been a massive problem. You can see there's that little pile I was mentioning earlier. So this is about as much footage as I've got for the battery today, or for this day. I ended up moving those pipes out of the way and smoothing this down through here. This is where we've decided we're going to build one of our little trailer shed things. But that'll do for today. So as always, thank you for watching. God bless you and yours, and stay safe out there.